Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Elizabeth Helly.
And...
Tyler Hymanson.
And we are back with a brand new franchise for you guys. Man, you know what? We're finally getting allowed to watch a movie other than Step Up in 2018.
I'm going to miss the dancing.
For the first time.
Martial arts are like dancing if there was any martial arts in this movie.
That's true. That's true. Well, we are kicking off the Missing in Action series starring Chuck Norris.
The Karate Commando himself, Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris have a nickname?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
That's not a nickname. Come on.
Total Gym spokesperson.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those.
Chucky Boy Norris.
Chucky Boy.
Lil Chucky Norris. Oh, man. This is going to be a fun one, you guys. Why don't we take a look at the trailer?
Vietnam, 1984. Chuck Norris is James Braddock. Decorated war hero. Ex-prisoner of war. An American on a mission. One man who couldn't forget the Americans that were left behind.
We categorically deny that there are any living MIAs in Vietnam.
Wrong answer.
James Braddock has returned. To uncover the truth and free the soldiers.
We're going home?
Missing in action.
Damn right.
James Braddock declares war. The war isn't over until the last man comes home.
Wow. So many guns.
And so much beard.
So much beard. Wow. All right. So this one from the 80s, 1984.
84. And takes place in 84.
Does it?
I believe it does.
Oh, there you go.
That's crazy. Let's, Eliz, you have a rundown of the plot for us, or a quick summary of the plot?
Well, so Braddock, played by Chuck Norris, he's returned from war. He was a POW and missing in action, but he made it back somehow. And he is advocating and saying that there are still missing in action soldiers in Vietnam somewhere, even though the war is over.
And part of his protest is wearing all denim.
Yes. So he ends up going with some government officials to this kind of like summit where they argue about whether or not there are POWs and whether or not war crimes happened. And so he goes, but then he decides to just go rogue and try and get them.
Which apparently they've been asking him to do it, and he hasn't been doing it.
Yeah,
but he was inspired by his dream.
Yeah, the movie's interesting. It starts off with like what turns out to be like a flashback, I guess. Right. And you know, it's him with his soldier buddies trying to get to the chopper, basically.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it was a flashback. I think it was a straight up dream because he like suicides at the end of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a flashback that just has like poor physics.
I think it might be a flashback. I mean, although the best part about the flashback is he sees his buddy and he shoots a dude, and then his buddy gives him a giant grinning thumbs up, and then they exchange thumbs up, and then his friend gets murdered
immediately.
In this whole beginning, I think it was a dream, but in the whole dream, every time he communicates with anyone verbally or visually on the battlefield, they immediately get killed right after that. So do not talk to Chuck Norris in a battle, or you will be immediately murdered.
Yeah.
And you know, it gives it a whole other connotation to the thumbs up and dodgeball. They're very lucky that they didn't get murdered after that.
That's right.
I know. Yeah. So it's like lots of action explosions right away. People running all over the place. I didn't like how everyone in front of Chuck Norris, when they get to where the helicopters are landing, they're all just like running around in the open.
Yeah.
They're like, quick, get to the helicopter in the open! And they're all dying immediately. And then as soon as Chuck Norris gets there, he's like, all right, I'm going to be stealthy. Use some cover.
Solid Snake.
I got
Shadow Moses.
Yeah. I've got perfect grenade throwing skills.
He really does. And maybe you're right on this, because one of the things I noticed is that the helicopter that picks them up It's an American helicopter, and it has human skulls on
Yeah.
the skids, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's fucking dark. Like, aren't we the good guys?
There's a story about that, actually.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the first of many little tidbits from the Blu-ray,
Justin's Blu-ray Corner.
the Shout Factory Blu-ray.
Shout out to Chat Factory.
I listened to some of the commentary, and during that specific scene, the director, Joseph Zito, was talking about how he wanted to have skulls on the front of the, on the rails of the, I don't know what you call them, the rails of the helicopter.
I believe
The landing
skids.
rails?
I believe skids.
Yeah, the skids. He was like, well, it's not like they're, we're shooting in the Philippines. It's not like they have fucking Halloween stores lying around that we can just go get some skulls from. And he was
Sure.
like, I wanted skulls, but, I figured they wouldn't be able to get them. But he's like, I don't know what happened. And there were some crazy stories and rumors going around. But when we went to shoot, all of a sudden there were skulls for one of the helicopters, and he's like, I don't know where they got them from, but
That's insane.
yeah. So
Also, bad call, Zito.
I know.
Bad Zito.
See, that lends to the thing that it was a dream. But the main reason I thought it was a dream is because
Because they
at
were
the
real
end,
human skulls.
Chuck Norris takes the pins out of 2 grenades and has one in each hand and jumps down on top of his 2 friends that are being stabbed to death by a Vietnamese guy.
Also, no,
and so I think he wants to put them out of their misery.
The man had been stabbed to death. He was just then it quickly turns into someone repeatedly bayoneting a corpse.
Yeah.
Because it's this dude gets stabbed maybe
many
5
times. Yeah.
But you don't think Chuck Norris would survive something like that?
I would
direct explosion of-
I would agree with you if not for the rest of this movie where he survives 6 different direct explosions.
I guess. Well, because at the end of it, after he does the jump, he immediately wakes up like, like he's in bed and it was all a dream.
So
Because he's having a Vietnam flashback.
But then after the dream, he then has actual flashback while awake.
I have a mini rant about him waking up from this dream.
Okay.
Okay. So my note on it just says apocalypse wow. Because this fucking movie, it takes directly from Apocalypse Now with him waking up in a shitty hotel room, but the spoiler alert, it's Hollywood, I guess, as opposed to
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, as opposed to Saigon. But so in Apocalypse Now, there's a really famous scene. It's some of the best. It's a Vietnam flashback. It's Walter Murch assembled the whole scene. It's with the fan above them, and it's where sound design is basically born.
It's like the opening of the movie.
It's the opening of the movie, and it's kind of the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's a direct lift, and it's doing a parallel between the fan blade above him and helicopters in his flashback. But in this movie, it's trying to imitate it, but in the room, there's just a shitty electric fan, and that is the metaphor for this entire movie.
Yeah. And he's watching Spider-Man.
He watches an episode of Spider-Man, and he sees Spider-Man take down a helicopter with web slinging, and then he feels bad. He's like, you know what? I think I should go and advocate for these MIAs.
And then he calls like the State Department. He's like, I'll go.
After seeing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Spider-Man and a news report that was like talking about him, like being like, wow,
The
everyone
MIAs,
hopes
yeah.
that Colonel Braddock will come to the summit or whatever.
Yeah, it turns out he was like this famous dude because apparently he escaped but wasn't able to get anyone else out at the time.
Right.
I don't know. My whole thing was like I figured that his genius plan to blow up both of his arms didn't work and he got captured.
Yeah. I mean, we do see, like, while he's watching the news and watching Spider-Man, he has a waking flashback, and we see that he's, like, in a chain gang being, like, taken across the river by Vietnamese military people, and they get shot at by Americans trying to save them who fail, and then the Vietnamese general or something is like, one of mine for one of yours, because he's mad that they blew up his assistant or whatever.
Right.
So he shoots one of a guy in the middle of the chain gang gets shot and killed, and then the other guys have to carry his dead body because he's still like chained
Chuck
to them.
Norris carries him.
Yeah.
Because it ain't no thing.
And one of the, so that guy, that flashback, it almost seems like that they went back, we forgot this movie needs a villain. And so he's in the end of the first act and then out by the second act.
No, that was,
Yeah, so he comes back later as one of the generals that's guarding Chuck Norris at the summit, basically.
Yeah. I don't. So, did you guys feel like this movie? First of all, I feel like not a lot happens in this movie.
Not a lot happens in this movie. No.
Second of all, I felt like there were a lot of scenes that were just so slow.
Yeah.
They made one of these?
Yeah.
They made how many?
I found this movie to be aggressively boring.
It was.
I kept getting distracted, looking at my phone, and then realizing I
Yeah.
had no idea what was going on, and rewinding, and it was
Well,
a
I kept
mess.
waiting for like the big action. You know,
And it didn't
It was
happen.
missing.
yeah. I was gonna try to say like more like action is missing. No, yeah.
All right, that's been our episode. We're not going to do a better
Good
joke
night,
than that.
folks.
Yeah,
we
good
got,
night.
We got puns for days. Yeah. I there's just so many scenes. Like, there's a scene later where he's kind of like escaping from his hotel room, and it just goes on forever.
It goes on for ages. He
And
goes
even-
on so many window ledges and balcony
Yeah.
ledge plaster.
This
Like,
scene where
I will like the point that like I feel like that the thing that makes this as clear as it can be is that later on in the movie he spoiler alert finds where the POWs are being held and goes to the camp, and there's this aggressively long shot of his kit.
Yeah.
Of him taking out all the explosives that he has, and I'm sitting there watching it, and then it's cutting around the camp, and it's like, oh, it's just gonna cut straight to an explosion because we just saw a 2-minute shot of him taking things out of a backpack. And then after it's like you see like a flavor of the bass and like, oh, here comes the explosion, and then it's him placing
Putting
the
the-
first bomb, and you're like, no fucking way.
I'm like,
Then it took
so
5
setting
minutes
the
to set-
timer and starting.
Also-
and then you get more setup, and then he places the second bomb. And you're like, come the fuck on.
It's like this movie addressed all the criticisms that people normally have of action movies. Like, well, they didn't even show us how he got there. Or, like,
I know.
He probably couldn't have even jumped out of that building.
Yeah,
It's like, no,
yeah,
we're going to
everybody.
show you every ledge that he used to get out of the hotel.
Exactly.
Everybody shut up. Action
Yeah.
movies are fine.
Yeah.
Don't want to know. It's
I
boring.
don't know if you noticed too in that scene. Like, I'm sure that he wanted to, try to infiltrate the base under the cover of night. But when he gets to the base, it's daytime, and then they
should be an extremely long backpack
yeah,
shot. Hard cut
and then
to
it's night, and like they make it like I was kind of bored at this point. So in my mind, I felt like shit. It took him that long that it turned to nighttime. He's just unpacking his fucking backpack. Jesus.
This whole movie took place over like 2 days.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
So he gets
Just like.
he goes over to Vietnam, right? And then
Yeah.
like, there's a senator and a State Department lady, and like they don't like this movie is also like the worst Chuck Norris fashion show that you could imagine. Like, every time like he takes on an outfit or puts or every like scene change, or he's putting on a coat or taking off a coat, he looks worse. It's progressively worse until he gets into his commando shit, and then whatever.
Also, those scenes are long too when he's putting his clothes on.
Yeah.
Long.
Quite a long time to get dressed. So in the like beginning of the summit, the main guy from Vietnam that's representing Vietnam, who by the way is James Hong, and within like 2 lines I was like, that's the guy from Mulan. Like I recognized his voice immediately. He plays Chi Fu, the emperor's assistant secretary guy.
He's in a ton of shit.
He's in so much.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just thought it was funny because I was like, I know him.
He's the goose from Kung Fu Panda. He's in
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It's that guy.
So anyway, his plan is basically to say that Chuck Norris is lying about the MIA soldiers because he committed war crimes himself and tortured Vietnamese people. And Chuck Norris is basically just like, really? Like, he doesn't even really deny it.
He wears his sunglasses to the meeting, like, fuck
Yeah.
this. What am I doing?
And then they bring out all these villagers, and they say
Yeah.
they've seen him kill women and children and old people.
Yeah.
And then Chuck Norris looks them all in the face, and then there's one guy that he obviously recognizes, and then the guy's like, "I'm sorry," and he's like, "I understand."
yeah. I love that.
But like nobody else paid attention to that.
They do say it in Vietnamese,
Yeah.
which good for them.
And I love that the general accuses Braddock, Chuck Norris, of war crimes and being a war criminal. And then, he obviously disagrees. Braddock obviously disagrees with that. But he immediately goes about acting like a fucking war criminal.
Yeah.
He sneaks out of his hotel, sneaks into the general's mansion or whatever, and fucking kills him in the dead of night.
Okay, so
Well, no, I mean, he was gonna let him live,
Yeah,
but then
but
he
he's-
attacked him. It's the classic, like, killing of a Disney villain.
He's
Like, I
not-
wasn't gonna kill him, but then he tried to come at me one last
He's
time.
not
so I
acting
did.
like an innocent man in this scene.
This movie does for this whole set piece to take place does some things that you won't be able to get away with nowadays.
It takes him, first of all, it takes him half an hour to get to the mansion across the street.
All right. So the first thing he does is so you get there and you think that's going to be like maybe this is a political thriller. You don't think that, but the first 20 minutes of the movie, you would not be wrong to assume that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure.
And so he's being followed, they're being followed in this hotel, and then the State Department lady invites him back for a nightcap.
Yeah.
And then he walks into her hotel room and just immediately starts undressing. And she's like, no, like, Mr. Braddock, like, I just invited you here I just invited you for my hotel room and where I'm in my nightie for a drink.
Yeah. He does like a double take when she opens the door in her nightgown, and he's like, what? He looks down, up and down, up and down.
And then you get to find out that Chuck Norris wears black tighty whities, so that's exciting. And he strips
and he's
down,
shy.
and he's shy.
Chuck Norris is shy.
And so he strips down. She thinks they're gonna bang, and then he puts on his commando gear and sneaks out.
Yep.
And then so basically he's trying to find out where the MIAs are. Sneaks into to that dude. Is he Vietnamese or is he Chinese?
I'm not sure what he actually is. I would guess Chinese
I think
based on his last name.
I believe he's Chinese.
Yeah.
But he sneaks into that official's bedroom and he's sleeping underneath, like he's sleeping
Mosquito
like
netting.
Yeah, like a Disney princess though. It's like a pink veil.
It looks like a princess bed, even though it's mosquito netting. Yeah.
Puts a knife to his throat, and says, "Where are they?" And then, spoiler alert, he has a gun underneath his pillow. And when Chuck Norris tries to sneak out, shoots him. And then it's a race for Chuck Norris to get back to the hotel before the Vietnamese people can know that he's committed an international incident.
Yeah.
And you'd think that would be exciting.
It's another 15-minute scene.
Slowly climbing on plaster ledges, and there's one part where he just jumps into the bushes and lies on the ground, and then after they pass, he gets up and keeps walking.
They legitimately follow the Vietnamese officials discovering the body in real time, and then their drive time to get over to the hotel.
Yeah,
it's done essentially in real time. It's like, this is the movie, like when he's setting those charges, the charges are set for 5 minutes. You see every second of those 5 minutes.
And then I love that he slowly shimmies across like an electrical wire.
And there's a giant spark.
Yeah.
A huge explosion.
Everyone's right there and they don't see him or anything. And then he jumps into the ladies.
This part pissed me off.
He jumps into the ladies' hotel room and immediately rips her shirt off.
And commits sexual assault.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, what?
She's like, what's going on? He doesn't even say, just play along. He just straight up rips off her clothes and throws her down on the bed hard. And then gets in the bed, starts making out with her, pulls a blanket over them so that when the Vietnamese officials break in, he can go
he goes, huh?
Hey, oh yeah, you cut me in the act.
And then the guy from his dream or flashback or whatever, his Vietnamese revenge porn. He's like, and I suppose he's been with you the whole night, and she's like, yes. And he's like, isn't that convenient? And she's like, I suppose it is. And I was thinking in this moment, I was like, maybe this scene would be okay if the next morning she's like, you almost committed an international incident. You made me go along with that shit, but I'm not okay with what you fucking did.
Or if they had established just a little bit more that they had a pre-existing relationship.
I think in their mind that she was in the 90, that was the justification, and that's not.
There was
no consent for that fake sex. Okay.
There's not good establishment of any of the characters in this movie, in my opinion. Braddock shows up, and apparently he's this, well-known, sergeant or whatever.
He's a military hero,
soldier. Yeah. But there's nothing.
Long-haired denim
soldier.
Yeah,
barely anything said about him. And then the other guy is a senator, and then I don't know who exactly this lady is.
She's the PR lady.
No, she's from the State Department.
Oh, okay.
She has a ranking position in the State Department.
Oh, really? I didn't get that at all. Well, she does speak Vietnamese. I did at least like that. Well, and she was translating.
The point being, what I was trying to get to is that the next scene because she has a job, she has to keep the peace, she's important, right?
Yeah.
And then the next scene is Chuck Norris at the airport, and she's like, "Be careful," and kisses him goodbye, and it's what the fuck?
Yeah, they must have had a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a thing where they
did not do a good enough job
of telling you what was happening with that.
Well, because if that happened when he started taking his clothes off when he came into the room, she would have been like, "Oh no, that's not what I meant."
I'm so flustered.
If they already had a relationship.
That's true.
Oh, God. Okay, so anyways, he now has what he thinks is the location of the MIA. So the next day he flies to
Bangkok.
Yeah.
To wander in the streets for 10 minutes really slowly.
Going into a bar where there's boobs. Asking a bartender where his friend is.
And apparently, only one song.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, they're doing terrible like Asian karaoke in this thing.
It wasn't karaoke, that was a performance.
Yeah, she was
sadly.
singing like, "Do you think I'm sexy?" You know.
Yeah.
And so he enters the bar. There is this performance going on, and he's like, "I'm looking for Jack Turner or Tucker or whatever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," the lady's like, "He'll be here soon." And he falls from the ceiling, hits the ground, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, Jack." And then there's a time cut. So the music stopped because everyone's like, "Oh shit, there's a fight going on."
This sequence is actually cool because it's like the classic like old like war buddy like and his buddy's still in the bar, and then so like Jack Tucker, I forget what his name is.
Tuck.
Is getting his ass kicked, and Chuck Norris is like, I need to hire your boat, and the guy's like $5,000, and he keeps getting his ass kicked, and he's like, did I hear $1,000? And he's like, no. Getting his ass kicked, and then as soon as like Chuck Norris beats everybody up and says, yeah, I'm gonna pay you $1,000. He's like, all right, that's what I said the first time.
Yeah, and then time cut
to them sitting down talking. They're like halfway through their beers.
but then the song is still going. Do you think I'm sexy? Come on, baby, let me
And what was funny is that it was one lady singing this with like a guitar behind her.
Yeah.
But it definitely just sounds like the only backing track is accordion. Like, it doesn't sound like guitar at all. It just sounds like an accordion version of Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Oh, that was so funny. I was like, wow, it's the same song? Really? Okay.
But that actress actually performed the song too, because in the credits,
man.
her name, it's like Girl in Bar, but then her name is also in the performed by.
Unsurprising.
Yeah.
I believe it. So this is where the movie takes a hard shift to where him taking, all right, well, now we're doing a heist thing.
Well, first, we quickly recruit like one person. Instead of recruiting 12,
no,
Ocean's 12,
nothing's
it's one
quick
guy.
about this recruitment.
Yeah.
Well, okay, apparently in the original version of the film, he was going to recruit more friends of his, but they had to cut it down for budget. So he goes to get one friend.
One Italian guy that knows how to fly helicopters.
We can afford one friend.
Yeah. And he only gets 5 lines of dialogue.
So after he recruits the helicopter pilot or whatever, he goes back to his hotel room. He walks in the hotel room, closes the door.
Oh my god,
and he's like, I'm
this is
gonna
my
get
favorite
undressed.
scene in the whole movie.
You talk about it.
It's an incredibly long take, but it doesn't stand out because everything in this movie takes for fucking
This was one
ever.
of the funniest moments.
Yeah,
this
this
is one of
was
the ones
great.
that really laughed at.
He gets back to his hotel, and you've seen Chuck Norris disrobe 3 times already in this movie, and she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like he's slow. Like, let's see him take off every fucking button."
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, like let me check my text messages. Like, what's happening? Like, I don't need to see what's happening. And then he goes to take his shirt off and put it inside the cabinet, and it's been 2 minutes of nothing happening. And he opens it up, and there's an assassin.
Yeah, he's just waiting there for him
with
to
a
open
knife,
the closet.
with a knife immediately. Like, he didn't show me. He knew he was there.
I was like, what if he had never opened the closet?
Yeah.
Like, was that guy just gonna stay there and
Yeah,
die?
this was the moment that made me think in the film, like, oh, maybe they were being methodical for this moment. Like, this is the reason why they did all that slow-ass shit in the beginning. Because I honestly was surprised. Because again, I felt the same way. I was like, here we go, another fucking long-ass scene. And it has a great punchline to it,
It's
you know?
so good.
It was good. So yeah, he fights that guy, and then he sees the other guy across the street who bazookas his hotel room.
Right.
But then there's like random women and children crying, and a few of them got hit by the debris.
To his credit, he does seem concerned about this.
Yes, he does. And
He looks at them like, sad, and then leaves.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of it.
So I kind of lost track at this point, but he goes to the docks and gets on the boat.
He gets
or
a
something,
bulletproof raft, guys. That's,
We
forgot about the
Oh my
Kevlar.
God.
And it looks like
pontoon
a
raft.
shark. It's got shark paint
Yeah.
on it.
That was amazing. They were like, there's only one assault raft in the entire country, and it happens to be the best one of all time.
And we get to see Chuck Norris's bartering and bargaining techniques. He just points a gun at the guy until the guy puts the price down, basically.
That was messed up.
And like that's the thing about this movie that's crazy because I saw it as in high school or whatever when it was just like watching like I would just go to the action section in Blockbuster and rent every fucking movie,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, you see a lot of garbage, but I remember there being more martial arts in this movie, and it's like you get, it's Chuck Norris, like martial artist, and it's like, nope, he's just running around posing with a gun.
Yeah.
A lot of this movie.
Apparently, it was supposed to originally have more martial arts, but the director kind of wanted to
Can't shoot action,
Well,
and so
he was like, this is Chuck Norris's chance to transition into like a more mainstream action star. So let's give him a gun. Let's see what he can do with a gun instead of just his fists.
Well, yeah, he was like an army guy. Not that an army person wouldn't know martial arts, but that's
well,
not
there's
like
so
the
much
first thing you think
but
of.
there's scenes in this movie where it's close quarter combat of him sneaking around and taking guys out,
Right.
and he looks so fucking clumsy.
But I mean, all his movies before this were all like
Kung Fu, yeah.
kung fu martial arts
Octagon,
films
yep,
where he
yep.
was like a secret agent fighting people.
Yep.
So this is different.
It is different. It is different. So my favorite thing about that bulletproof boat thing is like, yeah, it's completely bulletproof, and how they prove it to him is fire an AK-47 that's filled with blanks, and it's obviously filled with blanks.
Yeah.
It's like this boat's invulnerable.
Yeah. I like they're like, yeah, the raft looks cool, but one bullet and
Yeah.
it'll blow up.
And it doesn't even really come back. Like they don't even really, like, it's not this crazy assault boat. The boat gets blown up. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So after the closet hotel attack, he immediately goes to
the movie
grab
goes
Tuck.
downhill.
He grabs Tuck
No.
so they can leave early. Of course, Tuck's in bed with two prostitutes. And when he comes in, when he opens the door, he's just like, "Oh, hey, Braddock, join in."
And we should say that Tuck's played by a beloved character actor.
Yes.
Emmett Walsh?
Emmett Walsh.
I think, yeah.
And you see him from everything, and this movie even ruins beloved character actors, because this scene, you see him and you're just like, aw, Emmett.
He does have a great line later on.
He
though.
does.
So they leave on the boat, and then at some point at night, it turns out that same guy that tortured him when he was in captivity and has been chasing him the whole time.
Oh, no. There's a giant, like, chase scene on the docks.
Yeah,
Oh, really? I
but
missed it.
after the chase scene, they show him like hop on. He's like,
Yeah,
this
he's,
is
like, hiding
personal
on the
now.
boat. Yeah.
Okay, the chase scene on the docks is the best action sequence in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, like Tuck has a boat that looks kind of like shitty, but it has like a crazy engine on it. And then they're running along the docks. The boat's running. Chuck Norris is in a truck and rams a bunch of people, and then ditches the truck off the dock, and then hops on the boat. And then his main nemesis is like his fucking like manservant dude. He's like, "Do you want me to come with you?" And he's like, "No. Now it is a personal matter."
Yeah. And he just like hops on this skiff and like chases after him.
And then, so this is where it goes to where this felt like, oh wait, there's not a bad guy in this movie, because he's the random flashback after the flashback, and then like he's at the party with the first. They go to like a state party before the hearing.
Yeah. And he bazooka the hotel.
And he bazookas the hotel. And then it just cuts. He's on Chuck Norris's boat. Like he's somehow snuck up silently, and Chuck Norris is just like at the cockpit reading a book.
Yeah.
Just like,
And then
They struggle, And
he uses his spidey sense to know that he's there with an axe.
with an axe, turns the axe against him, and then that dude's dead.
Well, I
Yeah,
thought
that
it was
was
so
it.
funny because he was about like when they have the axe, they're like in a struggle. They're in a thing where Chuck Norris just has to like push the axe into him to do the final blow. And instead of saying like "this is for all my army brothers" or like "you tortured me in the camp," or instead of saying any of that, he just says "you killed those innocent people at the," or like "you hurt those innocent people at the hotel and you shouldn't have done that." And then he kills him.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything about the POW camp, about his fallen brothers, none of that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also another flashback where this dude, like Chuck Norris, is hanging,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
like by his wrists, and this dude just cuts his chest.
For no reason.
Yeah, and you see he cuts his chest because it cuts to a close up of his bloody sandals.
I did think that those sandals were strange.
So then we get to the Delta, where he's gonna take the assault raft off the boat.
Where there's two boats.
There's two boats.
Yeah.
How is there two boats?
Well, he has the bulletproof
The boat
raft,
and then the raft.
and then
Well, right.
there's 3 boats.
He has the boat and the raft, and then like a secondary raft.
Yes.
That's-
I was like, how are there 3 boats? There's 1 boat and a raft.
Tuck's boat,
Boat and 2 rafts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tuck's boat looks exactly like the boat that John C. Reilly built in King Kong Skull Island.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He built it out of like tires and pieces of wood.
It's funny. So they get to this like entrance to the river bed that they're gonna go up, and they hop in the assault raft. And they drive for like 2 seconds and then pull off onto the beach. And I'm like, what? They need the assault raft to only go that far? But it turns out they're leaving a second raft. I don't know if it's an assault raft with Kevlar.
Well, and there's this whole
pontoons
thing
or
where
not,
Tuck
but-
said in the beginning, like, I'll help you, but I'm not going to the jungle. I'm only going to stay on the water and, like, drive the boat. And Chuck Norris is like, okay. And then when they get there, Chuck Norris is getting on the raft, and Tuck's like, how are you going to navigate and shoot at the same time? And Chuck Norris is just like, I'll figure something out. Like, he literally says that. I'll figure something out. That's his quote. And then Chuck gets all mad.
He's like, you son of a bitch, you knew I wouldn't let you go in there by yourself.
And then he jumps on the raft, which, all right.
Oh, man.
Also, just like, if you don't know this character actor, I'll just say that this movie's 1984. He was playing a grandfather in Amazing Stories in 1986. and he was in shit last year. Like, the man has a
He's
long
still alive.
career.
Yeah. You'd recognize him if you saw him.
He's been in an episode of Tim and Eric.
That's right. That's right.
So they go in and they come to like a village or a camp where
This is where we go into full Metal Gear Solid mode.
Peace Walker.
He gets off the raft to deal with some guards, and he deals with them the same exact way I would play a video game.
Snake Eater.
He does the whole thing where it's like he's walking down the road where these 4 guards are. He makes some noise so the one guard peels off, and he knocks out the one guard and then pulls him into the jungle, but makes enough noise to bring the second guard to the same exact spot. And it plays out exactly like it does in a video game.
And you would think you have Chuck Norris, Karate Commando. Let's see him do this. He doesn't take anybody out in a cool way.
Yeah, he takes out the second guy, and then the other 2 guys are like, duh, what?
And then he just basically, like, wrestling move, flies at them, and then knocks their heads together, and then they're in, like, a muddy puddle, and then it's just, like, a weird side cut of him then punching them. Like, it's choreographed so... Like, this is the scene that I want this movie for. Like, I want him to slowly pick off guards in the jungle, and he doesn't do that.
So then they
He does.
then
but-
we go into the whole bomb explosion
Yeah.
thing that Tyler previously talked about. But when these explosions start going off, for the size of bomb he had, the explosion is gigantic.
I mean, it's a lot of plastic. It's a lot of plastic.
yeah, but there's like a
explosive.
mushroom cloud.
These are like fucking huge explosives.
Yeah.
They're like taking out the entire. I mean, the buildings are just like wood and stuff. So, but
Also-
they're taking out the entire building.
Also, like, I know that there's like there's a Palmia, like there is a controversy, and there might have been people still in Vietnam. We don't know. We're not really going to comment that. We're a movie podcast. At the same time, like, I don't know how I feel about like it's like this war's over. It's peacetime, and like it's like, yeah, he's not a war criminal. But now he's just blowing up all these, like, this
Yeah.
camp of people.
Well,
I
I think honestly, I think it was a village that the military had sort of taken over and was keeping the
Yeah.
POWs at, because after he blows it up, these villagers come up to him and like thank him.
Yeah.
Well, he opens up all the cages. And he's like, "White people, no. White people, no. White
Yeah.
people, no.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all like Vietnamese villagers."
And then an old man looks at him and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Braddock. Your princess is in another castle."
But the whole time I was thinking, like, did he take enough time to like scout out all these buildings? Like, how did he know that there weren't prisoners in those buildings?
Justin, are you seriously thinking that he did not take enough time to set these explosives?
I mean, they didn't show
didn't
him
have
investigating each individual building. They just showed him setting the bombs.
He found some audio logs. and he
Literally
knew-
anyone could
I
have been in
want
those
longer scenes in this movie. Give me more information.
buildings. Yeah, these prisoners are like, "Thank you so much." Like so you got the total like white savior thing going on
Yeah,
here,
and, and they make it seem like they're going to go start a revolution, but nothing happens.
yeah, he just leaves to go. They tell him that
they're
they
gonna be so
literally.
disappointed when the war's over.
Yeah. The prisoners tell him that they literally moved the white people like half an hour earlier or something
Yeah.
like that. He's like,
Yeah.
they left like, right before you got here.
They're in a convoy that goes along the river, and he's like, "Perfect, I have an assault raft.
It's like Nightboat from The
Let's
Simpsons.
go, Jack Turner."
There's always a canal.
So they drive the assault raft next to this convoy, and he's like, there's a giant gun on my assault raft. I'm pretty sure the prisoners are in these cars here. I'm just going to shoot the cars indiscriminately. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, how does he
Kills
know,
pretty much everybody.
which of the vehicles the POWs are in? He's just shooting like, just like that.
Yeah. So turns out they're there, actually. There's like 4 white guys.
Yeah, you're right, though. I mean, he basically just shoot. Like, there's so much shooting in this.
He's just like, here's the bad guys. Let's unload on them, boys.
Wait.
But it's just him. There's no...
Okay, yeah. So then he saves the guys, and we recognize some of the guys from the flashback, right?
I think they were his buddies.
Maybe.
Right.
But, well, okay, so...
Well, maybe from the chain gang flashback.
Right.
I think this is the point where the raft gets, like, hit and they fall in the water, right?
Oh, yeah. There's an amazing...
But yeah,
So we gotta talk about that.
The raft gets hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. Because earlier in the movie, if you remember, they said, well, it's completely invulnerable unless it gets hit by an explosion. Guess what?
explosion.
So Tuck is in the water and he's like hiding, and then you don't know where Chuck Norris is. You're like, oh, is he dead?
You think
is
he's
he
dead.
drowned?
But
Yeah.
there's an amazing scene of the 3 guys who shot the bazooka laughing. Like slow motion laughing.
Yeah. Because they think they've got him. And then, of course, it goes into slow motion.
He comes out of the water in super slow motion with a giant, apparently waterproof gun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot
like, I
about
don't think
guns,
this gun
but
would
I don't
work.
think that works, right?
No.
Especially if it's chain fed. I
Yes.
don't believe
as it goes underwater,
so.
it's not
Yeah,
gonna-
I think.
that's-
But he comes up, and the guy, and where he's completely surrounded, these people on this boat, apparently have no reaction time whatsoever, and because the movie needs slow motion to slow everything down so that he can destroy everybody on this boat. I imagine he throws a grenade. I don't remember. It probably explodes for
He
no
just
reason.
shoots him.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
It's like a minute of him just like slow motion. Goo, 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 goo.
I love in all of the scenes. I feel like all the action scenes, Chuck Norris is just like blank faced, like he doesn't give a fuck. He's shooting this gun, so like whatever,
baby.
He's driving the car in the action scene earlier, like I'm just driving a truck. Oh, you guys are trying to hit me.
He's
huh?
not acting whatsoever.
Yeah, there's never, you really, except for when he was in that first hotel room where he like decided to go, you never see the emotional consequences of being a POW and the fact that his friends got left behind. You never see him like really be emotional about
He's
it.
haunted. He has bad dreams. Or they're flashbacks. It's not clear.
It's just so emotionless, you know? He never, ugh.
He was moved by a cartoon. Spider-Man made him do it.
That's true. So, anyways, they get the 3 white guys, and they're like, all right, so the helicopter flown by the Italian guy is coming in, and they need cover, and so Tuck's back on his boat with the machine gun, and he's kind of like shooting the Vietnamese people.
So it seemed like it almost could have been like a rogue force in the Vietnamese army. I mean, obviously there's government cover-up or whatever,
Yeah.
but then like the Vietnamese guy, there's like an army patrol boat,
Yeah.
there's an armored
there's
boat.
a boat coming after them, and
Yeah.
maybe another helicopter, too.
Yeah, there's some shit going down. Like fighters are scrambled, and then the helicopter comes to save them. They all get on, and then they get on the helicopter. Oh,
You guys are forgetting another fucking long ass scene.
What did we
I don't
forget?
know if you fell asleep during this final action scene.
No, wait. Go ahead.
There is a scene where multiple people are shooting at a boat that's coming at the main boat, and the Vietnamese army boat is coming at them for like 10 minutes. And there is a scene first of the guy who Tucker left behind to control the boat shooting at him.
Yep.
He dies. The Vietnamese boat's still coming at him. Tucker gets to the boat and takes over that gun, shooting at that same boat, coming straight at him, but it's still coming from the same angle.
It is literally the scene from Monty Python where Galahad's just running over the hill, and it just keeps cutting to the same shot, and he's just immediately there. It is that scene.
And I'm like, fuck, how long did it take him to shoot this goddamn boat? And then finally the Vietnamese boat blows up our good guy's boat. But.
Yeah, and Tuck, you know, like, he unceremoniously just dies, even though he like didn't want to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
And then like, so the white soldiers and Chuck Norris like climb up the ladder into the helicopter, and Chuck Norris like looks down one time and then is like, he never even like, he could have at least like shook his head like, oh no, or like saluted or been like,
I'll smoke one for you, you filthy bastard.
He didn't say anything.
No.
He didn't even show any emotion at being surprised or sad.
I need to double back really quick because there's another ruse that we see, a very long setup that Chuck Norris is like once they get to the convoy and like he's holding things off where they can get to the small raft that's going to get them to the larger raft that's going to get them to the encounter of the boat that's going to take 10 minutes. He takes a grenade because apparently he has a bajillion grenades and pulls the pin out and they puts it in the back of a Jeep. There's a tire. There's a spare tire in the back of the Jeep. Puts it so that it's wedged in between the tire and the car. And it's like, oh, what's his plan here? What's going to happen? And so the Vietnamese soldiers that are pursuing them proceed to chase and then just ram the back of this Jeep for no apparent reason.
No, there's nobody in it.
Nobody in it, and there's nobody around, and he's standing there shooting at them, which then triggers the grenade, because I guess he knows how guerrilla warfare works. You always ram the Jeep. You always ram the Jeep.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So they like escape, and then they the whole thing is, are they going to make it back to Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon?
The helicopter pilot's like, where to? And he's like, Ho Chi Minh, Saigon. And the guy's like, oh boy.
He's like, oh shit. If I would have known that, I never would have let you rent
So the
my
helicopter lands in the plaza right in front of the government building, and like government workers and bystanders are running around screaming. There's papers flying everywhere. They're like, oh god, there's a helicopter in this public plaza.
And meanwhile, it cuts inside, and another official.
It's in a cut with him going like, we are finally ready. Cut to Chuck Norris. To announce, cut to Chuck Norris, cut to Chuck Norris, we confirmed, cut to Chuck Norris,
that Santa Claus is real.
There are no Chuck Norris.
Because then they barge in like the end of Miracle on 34th Street. We got everything. 30 millions of letters to Santa Claus. Oh no, wait, I mean POWs.
Barge in with 4 white guys who no one knows, but apparently just by looking at them, you instantly know that they were the MIA soldiers.
And you would think that the whole thing that you're building up to, there's a real controversy to this. There's a real thing to it. The cathartic moment. This movie's taking its time with everything else. Here we get to see the vindication. We get to see these people be free. We get to get their moment. Chuck Norris has saved his friends. No, freeze frame.
Freeze frame on Chuck Norris smiling, and that's it. Like,
And the other guys in the background like, ooh.
we never get to see the Vietnamese guy go, oh, what's, like, oh no, or get mad, or we never see the State Department lady make out with Chuck Norris, or we don't see anything. That's it. The end. Freeze frame.
But it probably won't be, guys, because guess what?
Yes.
Okay, wait. Before we get to there being a sequel, I need to talk about some crazy shit that went down around this movie.
Yep.
Okay, so like I said earlier, I had the Shout Factory Blu-ray, which, damn it, they're always amazing, you guys.
They're incredible.
There is a special feature on this film where they interview the writer for the film, James Bruner. Mm-hmm. And this is a friggin' fascinating, 25-minute interview with this guy.
Oh my God, I want to watch it.
So it turns out that this was a pretty crazy production, and I'm going to have to just go slightly into the sequel.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
But, okay, so originally, they bring this guy, James Bruner, on to write the script for this film.
Uh-huh.
He writes one, they love it, they use that script to get Chuck Norris on board. So Chuck Norris and this other guy on board, the producer is on board.
Yep.
They find out that this company, Canon Films, who put out this film, is interested in having a meeting. But right before this meeting, they learn that there's another script out in the world also called Missing in Action. And that's the script that Canon Films wants to produce. But, hold on. But the producer that's working with James Bruner learns that Canon hasn't optioned this second Missing in Action script yet. So this guy, Lance Hool, goes and options it before the meeting. So Lance and Chuck Norris go into the meeting and say like, "Hey man, yeah, let's have this meeting." And they're like, "We want to make Missing in Action from this script." And he's like, "Great, I own that script too. I'm going to be the director." Boom. So the director is Lance Hool. James Brunner gets a phone call like, "Sorry man, they went with this other script. My bad."
Yeah.
And they make Missing in Action, right? They film it. Boom. During the filming, they call up James Brunner and say, "Hey, we're still filming this movie, but we've decided that we want to make a sequel already. So can you come down here and like write a trailer for us, and we'll shoot the trailer while we're shooting the first film for the sequel, you know?" And they decide not to do that, but they have him write. They're like, write just a sequel for us anyways, and he ends up using his original script for Missing in Action for the sequel. They go with Joseph Zito to shoot the sequel to Missing in Action in the Philippines. And it turns out that the original Missing in Action, directed by Lance Hool, and the one that we watched, directed by Joseph Zito, are editing at the same time. Joseph Zito does a director's cut, and Warner Brothers, who was distributing the movie, goes, "Shit, we like this other version better." So they drop the first movie that they had fully made with Lance Hool and put out Joseph Zito's film that we watched, Missing in Action, out as the first film.
That's fucking crazy.
And then decide to dump this other one as
Missing in
the
Action
sequel,
2.
Missing in Action 2, The Beginning. Isn't that crazy?
That's fucking crazy.
Prequel.
So if you guys watched this movie and thought like, "Oh, this is a little bit weird," like it feels like a...
It feels like
know him already.
It feels like we should know who these characters
exactly.
are.
It feels like a sequel a little bit or something. Yeah, then that might be why.
And there's somehow a third one that happens after that.
Yeah.
So the sad thing is that, you know, they watched the 2 and they thought the second one was so much better. And so that's the movie that we've watched right now. We don't even like it. So I'm like, what the hell is the second one gonna be?
What have we done?
Kill me now. Like
But yeah, so I mean, they ended up making the right choice because this film came out and it was a #1 hit for Canon Films. It made $22 million.
Yep.
And it was a huge hit for Chuck Norris.
I think his biggest movie ever.
Ever? Oh, I don't know. About
I mean, maybe not. I mean, for a starring role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's impressive. So,
and then I guess Jean-Claude Van Damme was one of the stunt guys.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
it
What
was
the
his it was
fuck?
his first break. Like Chuck Norris knew him and was like, "Hey, come be a stunt
true.
guy on my movie." And so yeah,
Yeah,
The
Joseph
Muscles
Zito
from Brussels is in this movie?
Joseph Zito in the commentary said that he's actually like on set and he was just like an assistant dude, like driving the car, like, "Hey man, can you drive me around over here?"
That's
and
fucking incredible.
Jean-Claude Van Damme kept insisting that he was going to be big someday, and he was like, Joseph
Yeah.
Zito's like, "The only way you're going to be big is if you fucking like put on some clothes and go be an extra." So he said, if you like, you can look for him.
Wait.
wait, does that mean he was naked?
he wasn't
Put on a costume, okay?
Jean-Claude, take off your shirt and drive me around the Philippines.
Put on some goddamn clothes, you sick fuck. Yeah. Apparently you can see him in the movie, but I didn't.
That's fucking amazing. I want to go back. And fans out there, if you can get us screenshots of Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie, he is missing in action in this movie.
I honestly,
You need to find Jean-Claude
I was
Van
just
Damme.
watching the credits and I saw like it was like
yeah.
J. Claude Van Damme and I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
so
pretty crazy.
yeah.
Where's Jean-Claude?
And I mean, I know we've
Where is
made
he?
fun of this movie a lot, but you know, Chuck Norris did like sign on to this project because he wanted to honor his younger brother who actually died in Vietnam. So,
Right.
Yeah.
like, you know,
It's you know, 84, there are some slow-paced action movies. There are some worse things. It has some surprise. I mean, I didn't think that it would be as politically... It's dumb, but, you know, I thought it was going to be a straight-up Rambo in the jungle thing, and when it starts, there's a flashback, and he's going to a hearing, and blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, there were some things to it that make a lot of sense. There was an element of getting the heist and getting the crew back together that could have been fun, and it makes so much sense that they did not have the budget for more friends.
yeah, I don't know, like,
We need more friends.
it's just weird to like put out this movie that like supposes to confirm this conspiracy theory
Well,
that both the United States and Vietnamese government have
Rambo already
denied.
did it, and it was already a giant
Oh, that was out
success.
before it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's this movie exists because Rambo's success.
But I mean, at the time, I feel like this was probably such a big conspiracy theory. It'd be like if somebody right now put out a movie like that acted like 9/11 was a conspiracy as just accepted fact. You know, like
That'd be messed up.
yeah.
I think it's more than a conspiracy for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially at the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. One other great thing about this movie is it's got a score by Jay Chataway.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys know him.
I do not.
No.
But he's known for the score for Maniac,
Oh shit!
which is I'm a big fan of the Mono record label, and
Yeah.
that was like their first record they put out. But he also did the score for the Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. He's done lots of awesome
That's
stuff.
funny because I thought there was a lot of really hilarious cues in this movie.
Well, I mean, it's cool, but like the opening scene has some weird like patriotic sounding thing, but also like it sounded like there were like gunshots in the score.
Yeah.
It was like
when the slow motion sequence has the most like overly patriotic, angelic, like
yeah.
he is a golden god.
But it's like fucking amazing, like 80s score.
Yeah, no, it
It's just
absolutely
so
is. It absolutely
fun.
is.
I don't know. I thought it was great. I loved it. But yeah, so I think that's probably gonna bring us to the end of
Missing of Action. So we know that Missing in Action 2. Is there a subtitle for Missing in Action 2?
The beginning.
The beginning. So we know it's a prequel, and we know through that fun story, we know that it was originally shot.
Yeah.
And
So
they
we'll
shot.
probably see a lot of the same actors.
Was it shot simultaneously? Well, no, because
No, they shot the beginning first. And then they shot this one in the Philippines.
Yep.
Which actually also, you mentioned Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Most of the crew on this film had just done Apocalypse
Oh, that's now. Yeah.
God, what a letdown.
So
Actually, I should look. I have a family. It's like a second cousin who was a carpenter in Apocalypse Now, and then just met a woman in the Philippines and never came back. Just married
wow.
her and stayed there.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch this next movie knowing that it was the one that was shot first.
Yes, and
This is like that Darkman thing that we did with the second and third Darkman, how they did
Right.
that too.
Right, exactly. So yeah, the next one is Mission Impossible.
Mission to Mars.
I wish it was Mission Impossible, y'all. Missing in Action 2, the beginning.
Yep.
And you guys, we are getting addicted to having fucking guests on this show
That's right.
because we love having guests. And Eliz, who do we have next week?
He is a professional stuntman, dancer, and actor, and one of my oldest friends, Thomas Vu. He's going to be on the upcoming season of Westworld. He's been on Daredevil. He worked on Ready Player One, and most importantly, Power Rangers. But he's done everything. He's worked at Disney, Universal, all sorts of TV and music videos. So that should be exciting.
I'm excited. I need to ask him about I don't think it was the Power Rangers movie, but it was the Joseph Kahn Power/Rangers short film.
Oh shit.
I think.
Also, he happens to be Vietnamese American, so we'll see what he thinks about
man.
the portrayal of the Vietnamese in this movie.
Yeah.
This should be fun. I can't wait, personally. He's going to be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
So hopefully you guys tune in next week. In the meantime, Eliz, where can people keep in touch with us?
You can find us on Instagram at Sequel Rights or tweet at us at Sequel Rights and also Facebook.com/Sequel Rights.
If you find images of Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie, we want to see them.
Yes. Tweet them at us.
Tweet
Email
them.
us.
Tweet that Van Damme.
And
Hashtag
Tyler,
tweet the Van Damme.
how can people show us their appreciation?
Please rate and review us on iTunes. Give us all the stars, 5 stars. As many explosives as Chuck Norris sets in this movie. Take 5 minutes to give us 5
Yeah,
stars.
just send us some
or
hugs.
5 seconds.
We want hugs, you guys.
We just want
Send us some digital hugs.
and we should say that this first and third movie are on DVD and Blu-ray, but the second one is available on Hulu.
Yes.
And I think like Epix or something.
Amazon, I think, as well.
and Amazon.
And Justin Wash on the Shot Factory Blu-ray.
Yep.
That again is fantastic.
Yeah, check it out.
There's
Worth
also
worth a purchase.
a $9.99 trilogy DVD that has all of them.
Yes.
But no special features,
None.
you losers.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was annoyed because it had no English captions for the hearing impaired. You could
Ooh.
only
And
do
French
Spanish or
or
French.
Spanish, yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I always watch things with captions, especially for sequel rights, because I like to make sure
Yep.
I get every line
Yep.
of dialogue. And I was like, no, I was
What
clicking
kind
the
of janky
subtitles.
ass DVDs
I
did you guys
did
buy?
the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, God damn it.
Wow.
Parlez-vous français?
No one needs to read English for this. Yeah.
Although I believe that movie in French would be fucking hilarious. All right, so that is going to do it for Missing in Action. We're going to head back to the jungle, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.